The views and opinions expressed by guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the views of Forge Fitness and Nutrition LLC, the podcast hosts, owners, employees, contractors, partners, or affiliates. This presentation may include the use of explicit language. Listener or viewer discretion is advised. Hello and welcome to the Forge Fitness, Nutrition, and Habit podcast. I'm your host, Michael S. Parker, and today we're going to establish why exercise is so critical to our well-being, and then I'm going to disprove at least 10 common excuses that people just make up to justify ignoring their health and fitness. Occasionally, we're not going to have guests on the show, depending on the topic, the timing, or for a change in the delivery. And this is one of those episodes. It's just me. I want to get through this concept quickly with as much value as possible. I feel this is a very important topic because we have a crisis of wellness in the United States. We have skyrocketing obesity rates, massive chronic disease, unnecessary early mortality, and it feels like a lost quality of life. And the worst part about this, by my estimation, is that it's completely avoidable. Now, before we delve into the practical solutions and I debunk some excuses, I think that it's essential to grasp why exercise should be a non-negotiable aspect of our life. If a person doesn't agree with the benefits, then they're already lost. So by understanding these life-changing qualities of exercise, you're more likely to prioritize your wellness amidst your daily responsibilities. If only one of the strong reasons to be fit that I'm about to list resonates with you, then frankly, you have hope. Let me give you 10 compelling reasons to take responsibility for yourself and exercise. We should start with is it protects your future. We don't think about that very often nowadays in our instant gratification society. We're always for the now. But I believe that fitness protects your future. Regular resistance training and cardio training helps prevent chronic and even life-threatening illnesses, heart disease, type 2 diabetes, certain cancers. All of this can be stopped before it even starts. The second is that it boosts your brain power. Exercise increases blood flow to the brain. It improves your memory and your focus, and it reduces the risk of dementia and cognitive decline. This is proven. There's tons of articles out there about this. The third is that it preserves lean muscle mass. You're naturally going to lose muscle somewhere around age 30, which is early. Strength training is going to help you stay strong and mobile, and it's going to be metabolically responsive for your active lifestyle. The fourth thing about exercise is that it strengthens your bones and your joints. Weight-bearing exercise builds bone density, and it reduces your risk of osteoporosis, and it reduces your risk of injury, and it makes it easier to heal if you are injured. And the fifth thing is stress reduction. Anxiety, movement, it triggers endorphins, and it lowers your cortisol. It makes you feel better. You think cleaner. You sleep deeper. The sixth thing that it does is that it improves your heart health. Cardio and strength training, both of these activities are going to lower your blood pressure. It's going to improve your circulation, and it's going to strengthen your heart muscle. The seventh is appetite regulation, metabolism. Exercise will balance out your hunger hormones. It increases your insulin sensitivity, and it keeps your metabolism efficient. The eighth thing that I could cite would be, well, you get a weird boost of energy. Fit people don't just move more, they recover better and have more stamina for life's demands. You're trained to be energetic. The ninth thing that we could look at is inflammation. We talk about this a lot in the podcast. Foods for inflammation, activities to reduce inflammation, and chronic inflammation is directly linked to aging and disease. And exercise is the best anti-inflammatory tool that we have. And then circling back around is the longevity. Studies consistently show that active individuals live longer and they live better. I'm going to add in a bonus. Let's call it the 11th of the 10. I don't often talk about the aesthetic side of this. I like to keep fitness, nutrition, and habit focused on these deep intrinsic values, but ignoring your self-esteem, the way that you feel and look in your clothes, or even better, naked, when you feel sexy, when you feel confident and you feel empowered, these things can't be ignored. They shouldn't be your primary motivation all the time, but it doesn't mean they're not useful. It doesn't mean you shouldn't care what you look like. It doesn't matter how your body is constructed from a genetic standpoint. You just have to be sure that you're maximizing your genetic potential. Doesn't matter if you're short. Doesn't matter if you're tall. It doesn't matter if you have a higher bone density, low bone density. All that shit is not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about you being the best version that you can possibly be of yourself. So we'll call that the 11th. So there's 11 reasons. So now if we got that all sorted, we all agree that those are valuable, I'm going to debunk excuses. It's important to remember that my goal is not just to list a bunch of excuses and criticize people's priorities. It is my goal to illuminate this topic and give you practical solutions that you can incorporate today and improve your life. So here we go. Well, you know what? The first thing let's do, how about this? Should I share my screen? How do I do that? Share. I'm going to look up the top 20 excuses why people don't exercise. Let's see what this says. All right. So this new AI thing, it always pops up first. All right. Here, let me share my screen for those of you who are watching. I've never shared my screen before on this, so this will be fun. So the top 20 excuses why people don't exercise, they're saying lack of time and energy, external factors. Oh gosh, there's so many subcategories to these. I'm too tired. I'm too busy. I work out every day. Or I worked out yesterday. Weather, it's raining, it's too cold, or it's snowing. I left work too late. It's too dark outside. I don't have anyone to watch my kids. Oh, fuck, it's even worse than I thought. Personal preferences and motivation. I hate exercising. It's boring. I feel sore. I'm too hungry. I just ate. I don't know how to exercise. I'm not motivated. I don't like the gym environment. I feel embarrassed to exercise. I don't want to be seen sweating. I don't want to exercise alone. I have other plans. I'm saving up for the right gear. I have a hangover. Fun. I'm on a rest week. I can't afford a gym membership. Yeah, some of these are kind of lame. Let's see. I've looked up this stuff before, but let's see what's WellHub saying? Top excuses for not exercising. Let's look at some of these. I don't have time. I'm too tired. Yeah, get out of here. It's too hard. I'll start next week. These are more reasonable. All right. So here's what we're going to do. We are going to look at what I would suspect are the top 10 that I experienced the most, right? So instead of doing 20, that just got out of control. But I wanted you to see how many excuses people can just fucking make up. But I think I'll just give you the top 10 that I work with. So the one that was pretty prevalent there was I don't have time. A huge one. Let me take this and really distill it down so that you can understand how nonsensical this particular excuse is for most people. Prioritizing exercise is crucial if you expect to maintain your health and your well-being. You have to reframe how you perceive time management, and you have to incorporate exercise into your daily routine. It becomes very feasible to overcome this clearly prevalent excuse. So I'm going to provide several strategies to help you make time for workouts and ensure that health and fitness remains at the forefront of your lifestyle. But before I do that, I want to break this down to the ridiculous. I have to do this one all the time, so this is rote for me. I'm going to show you how much time you actually have. You just choose not to make time for wellness. In my long career as a fitness professional, I have never met anyone who can truly justify a lack of time as a reason not to work out. I'm going to tell you why. In fact, I outlined this pretty significantly in the 90-Day Habit Transformation, the book that I wrote. So it's chapter 2, Basics of Habit. It's my personal resistance, which is the fear of exhaustion. I break down the ridiculous, and I'm going to do that for you here now. There are 168 hours in a week, and you most certainly can find 30 minutes to an hour every other day. But let's just say, just for fun, that you have committed to 5 30-minute workouts each week. 5. Now, that is the American College of Sports Medicine's minimum recommendation for generally healthy adults to maintain a reasonable standard of fitness. Nothing more than that, just a reasonable standard of fitness. So let's pretend that you are in and you are doing your 2.5 hours or 150 minutes a week of exercise. So you subtract that from your 168, you still have 165.5 hours left. This is where this gets crazy. Now let's say that you sleep for 8 hours every single night. That means that you now have 109 hours in the week left. We're going to assume that you're an extremely hard driven worker and you put in long hours professionally. I'm just going to make this ridiculous. Let's say that you work 10 hours a day, 6 days a week. That still leaves you with 49 hours, even after 60 hours a week of work. Now, we're going to also assume that you are committed to your friends and family in the most profound way. So each day you spend 5 hours with loved ones. That rings in 35 hours of personal time spent with your spouse, your kids, your friends, your family, and other people in your life. 5 hours of recreation, social recreation a day. This will leave you with 14 extra hours weekly. You have already exercised. You have slept well. You have worked hard, and you have deeply managed your personal connections for hours per day. You still have 2 extra hours every single day after all of that insanity. Again, don't forget, you've already started with a 30-minute deduction for exercise. You still have 2 fucking hours a day after all of that. And you can even say that 5 hours of friends and family, some of that's commute time. And you're maybe on a phone or you'll FaceTime with somebody. You have 2 extra hours every day. You can sleep, you can recover, you can enjoy a hobby, you can go to school, you can read a book, you can do whatever you want. And the reality is that most of you don't work 10 hours a day, 6 days a week, nor do you really dedicate 5 whole hours to your family. I just wanted to illustrate how absolutely nonsensical your excuse for you don't have time really is. So why is it that you seem to not be able to fit in exercise? Because you don't make it a priority, plain and simple. You don't care. It's sad, but it's true. So here are some strategies to overcome this excuse. Let's get you past this. Let's maximize your 168 hours, the same fucking 168 hours that everybody else gets. The first thing that you should do is analyze your time allocation. That is the first step in overcoming this excuse. The exercise time constraint is a misanalysis of your time allocation. Now, I get it. Often the feeling of having no time, it does stem from inefficient time management and franticness of the go pace in life. I can totally get that. But let's just do this. Conduct a self-audit to identify your time-wasting activities. If I were to look at your day and we were to fully assess just one single day of your life, you probably wouldn't let me do it because you know what's going to happen. I will find hours of time just wasted. So anyway, you do that. Go and audit your time-wasting activities. That's excessive screen time or prolonged idle moments. If you can reallocate these periods, you can carve out space for exercise. You can do it. You just don't want to. Another thing that you can do is micro workouts. This is efficiency maximization. That's all that is. Now, the concept of micro workouts is gaining traction, which is a good thing, in my opinion. It's an effective solution for those who do have limited time or they're on the go. Short, high-intensity exercises can be performed in as little as 10 to 15 minutes, and you can get reasonably substantial health benefits from it. Brisk walking, HIIT training, high-intensity interval training, body weight exercises, all these things, you can be worked into your routine no matter if you're traveling or you have crazy time constraints. You can do this and not compromise the effectiveness based on what is reasonable. Integrating exercise into your daily activities is a strategy to consider, like daily tasks. This is things like walking further from the entry door to grocery stores, your workplace, cycling if you can do it, walking if you can do it to work, taking the stairs instead of the elevator, short stretching sessions during breaks. You can even do this at your desk. I have many clients that I have desk stretch protocols integrated into their program, so there's no excuse. Integrating movement into your routine and your exercise can be seamless. It can be part of your day. It doesn't have to be some kind of abstract, separate activity that you have to put all this time and energy and thought fatigue around. You just integrate it into your normal life. That does require prioritizing and scheduling your workouts like any essential commitment. I talked about this. I just did an Instagram reel on this very topic. So let me pull this up. This is kind of interesting. Let me go to our Instagram. I posted, I think I called it, right, you're not tired, you're undisciplined. I get that. So it's a little rage baity, but here, let me share my screen. Let's look at this together for those of you who are watching. So you're not tired, you're just undisciplined. Okay, hard to swallow, but let me tell you, let's be honest for a minute. When most people say that they're too tired to work out, it's not that their body can't move, it's that their mind has already surrendered. It's not even about being lazy. It's about recognizing when you're letting your emotions steer the ship, because real fatigue is rare. What is very common, though, is decision fatigue, that drain from constantly debating whether or not you're going to follow through. And the cure for that is actually quite simple. Treat your workouts like appointments that you cannot cancel. You don't bail on an IRS audit interview because you're tired. So training needs to become that level of non-negotiable. Motivation is never going to be consistent, but discipline, oh no, that's the anchor. The more that you show up, the less energy you waste arguing with yourself about it. And ironically, the more consistent that you are going to become. You're going to find that energy in moving. Now, most of the time, your body is going to feel better after a workout, even if you... Okay, you get the idea. I'll stop sharing. You want to treat your workouts as immutable appointments on your calendar. Just like I said, there are certain things you can't skip out on. There are consequences for skipping out on your exercise as well. You have to set aside some dedicated time, a slot for exercise. You can also, like I said before, you can seamlessly integrate it into your lifestyle, but most people don't have that luxury. By setting aside dedicated slots or time zones for exercise, you emphasize its importance to yourself, and that allows you to ensure that it receives the attention that it deserves. Another thing that you can do in this case is that you can harness support and you can find internal mechanisms for accountability. You can enlist the support of friends or family, people in the fitness community, online. You can hire a coach. You can have, for example, at Forge, we have a group forum. You can find stuff there. Some people love that stuff. Other people don't. I'm not really a big group community forum kind of guy. Pretty much have it down, can do it on my own. I like my small network of intimate friends and colleagues that help me with that kind of stuff. But other people do like that big social aspect to it. Fine. I don't really care. Just don't pretend that you don't have the time. Just prioritize it. Mindset involves a combination of planning, efficient time management, and a shift in your attitude. By valuing exercise, identify it, and harness it as a critical component of your health, it gives you a foundation for a more balanced and fulfilling lifestyle. You just have to let the strategy guide you towards making exercise a priority. Ultimately, it will lead to improved health and well-being. It's going to. So if you say, I don't have time, you're just basically saying that it's not important to me. That's all it is. So just reframe it and make it a priority. The second one, moving on to another excuse we're going to debunk here. Here's a good one. I'm too tired. Okay, fair enough. In my book, The 90-Day Habit Transformation, chapter 2, The Basics of Habit, at the very end, I talk about habit resistance, meaning things that we do to resist change. And one of mine is the fear of exhaustion. This is a personal thing. I work a lot. I have Forge Fitness and Nutrition, and all of the management and the coaching and the client interaction and the coach interaction, the infrastructure and operational protocols that surround running a international company. I have to do that. Then we have the Forge Fitness Nutrition Habit podcast. I have to work with guests. I have to get things lined up. We have to do editing. We have to do revisions. We have to do show outlines. We have to create notes. And then there's the distribution channeling and all of the other things. We have a publishing company. We publish books and articles and things of that nature. We're constantly writing content. Then we have social media. So we're constantly having to create reels and stories and carousels. And the list goes on and on and on and on. I get tired. And so for me, I try to avoid things that have high levels of fatigue, but I prioritize exercise. I have something called the 5-minute rule. Now, this may not work for you, but I'll give you an abridged version of this, not an abridged, maybe what do we call a modified version that may be more helpful to somebody who isn't an avid exerciser. For somebody who is an avid exerciser, I use a 5-minute rule. For me, it's very simple. I know that the days that I get up and I'm just like, oh my gosh, it's really, really difficult for me to feel inspired to hit my workout. What I do is I just give it 5 minutes. I just start my regular programming, and within 5 minutes, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm just going to finish my workout. And then I get it done. That's my 5-minute rule. Now that may not work for you. You may actually have to start a little bit differently. 5 minutes may not be enough. We just talked about high intensity interval training and effective and efficient workouts that are related to time and intensity evaluations. So let's just say that you do a 10 to 15 minute workout, short burst of exercise that can increase your energy levels, and it will eventually, hopefully lead you to longer workouts once you're in the groove. And then, of course, you just plan for your low energy days. Fridays for me happen to be extraordinarily busy. That's when I have a huge block of personal coaching clients. I have a podcast that releases every Friday. I have program updates that are going to be due within the next 72 hours because the way that we work is that every single week I have clients that are going to be going a periodized structure. They're going to be doing a progression into the following week. So that means I can have anywhere between 20 to 40 program updates that are due each week. And the average program update, because everything we do at Forge is written by hand, takes me anywhere between 20 to 40 minutes, depending on the complexity of that particular client's program. So I'm very jealous about where I put my time, energy, and effort. And I know when I have low energy days. And so I'm very careful about how I manage it. All this is just being proactive in your thought process and managing your life. Is not that hard. But you have to acknowledge that not every workout has to be intense. I'm going to be very clear about this. On tired days, opt for a lighter exercise. You could do things like stretching, yoga, Pilates, or a nice, good, strong power walk. You have to be very careful to avoid the all or nothing fallacy. This is a huge problem that we deal with in the fitness, nutrition, and habit transformation world. All of my coaches complain about this issue with their clients. Clients constantly bring up this bullshit, all or nothing. This is the belief that if you can't be perfect, it's not worth trying. More nonsense. You guys are just making shit up to be miserable. You don't need a flawless workout schedule or a spotless diet to get results. You don't. In fact, believing that perfection is the standard is one of the biggest reasons that people fail. Consistency beats intensity. Let me say that one more time. Consistency beats intensity. Missing a workout or eating a slice of cake doesn't erase progress. But quitting because of one bad day, that does. I also want to mention this. In the 90-day habit transformation, under wellness consciousness, I write specifically about this. You have on an X and Y axis, if you go to the left of the Y axis, you have destructive behavior and duration. So destruction and duration. On the right of the Y axis along the X, you have intensity, then you have construction. Things that you're doing that are positive, things that lead you to a predictable outcome. You can have 7 full days of highly constructive, long duration behaviors that are proactive and in line with your goals. And then what most people do is they have one bad weekend so you go to the left of the Y axis on the X of deconstructive behaviors and an intensity level, right? So you can assign an intensity level. Let's say I just said cake. So that's one day, it was your niece's or nephew's birthday party, and you had a slice of cake. So you had, what was that? 5 minutes of destructive behavior with a moderate level of intensity or low level of intensity. But then you throw it all away because you just ate the cake. Why do you guys do this? It makes no sense to me. This isn't a sprint. This is a long game. Progress compounds over time, provided there is consistency. There is no switch that says you're either crushing at all times and you must be 100% accurate. And if you're not, you are a failure, and therefore you should not even try. Health is a spectrum. Every decent meal, every walk, every single proactive, constructive effort matters. All of this adds up in an accumulation, especially when you stop quitting every single time that things get hard. Life does not, and it never will, give you perfect windows of opportunity. I hear this all the time. Oh, I'm just waiting. I'm going to wait for the right time, or the time just isn't right yet, or blah, 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 blah. It's just procrastination dressed up as a strategy to avoid. You'll never, ever, ever have endless motivation, zero stress, or a calendar that magically clears up for your fitness goals. The people who succeed show up when it's not ideal. That is where discipline and consistency meet to create results. And progress lives in a gray area. You have to forget about this all or nothing fallacy. Always go for something constructive. That's how real transformation happens. That's why we call it habit stacking. You don't need to be perfect. You need to be consistent. Okay, Michael, that sounds great, you asshole. Okay, so how do I do that? Well, it's not that hard. Think about it. Find the best time. Identify when you feel the most energized in your day. Is that morning, midday, or evening? Schedule your workouts accordingly. For me, it's very, very, very early in the morning. I have to do my workouts early. If I do, I'm going to be successful. If I wait till 2 in the afternoon, I'm going to struggle. I am. And I know that about myself. But remember, I've already explained that the people who are successful in the fitness, nutrition, and habit development world are the ones who project and they think Friday's a bad day for me. I need to be proactive about how I schedule and have a mindset around it. You have to actually take ownership. You can't be a passenger on the ride of life. You actually have to start driving. You have to prepare mentally and physically. Lay out your workout clothes the night before or as soon as you get home. I do this. It's right over there. I put my weight vest for rucking near the treadmill so I can do my inclines. And I have a pair of shoes, a special dedicated pair of shoes for the studio that don't go outside, that I have literally lined up right there. If I can move the camera, I'd show you, right on my treadmill, right at the base of my treadmill. Why are they there? Because I know that if I don't put them there, I will conveniently forget. But because I have a visual cue that reminds me that Tuesdays and Thursdays and Saturdays are my dedicated cardio and core days, at least at this point in my training algorithm, I am able to successfully navigate the pitfall of avoidance because I am making proactive preparations mentally and physically in my environment. This also really helps with decision fatigue. We already talked about that. I already just showed you an Instagram reel that I talked about decision fatigue. So you got to figure out ways to keep yourself inspired. I don't love using the word motivations. We'll use it just motivation, weight loss. These are terms that the public uses that are actually not really useful in the fitness world. But I'm going to give you a few more tips that are practical. I create a playlist for strength training and I have audiobooks for my cardio. I'm not very good at listening to an audiobook when I'm doing strength training because my strength training is quite intense. I find that music is way more helpful to me. And sometimes that's vice versa for people. I don't care how you do it. Just create a playlist, whether it be music, podcasts, motivational video clips. Just create something that will help boost your mood, give you that energy level push so you can start. The other thing that you can do around this excuse is reframe the term tiredness, because we just talked about tiredness is usually mental, not physical. Physical tiredness for the average American is exceedingly rare. Unless you are a minor action person, an oil rigger, or some other high level, high energy output job, physical fatigue is extremely rare. Remind yourself that even a short workout will help you feel better and more refreshed. Mental fatigue, it's a problem. Another thing, create that non-negotiable schedule. I'm basically repeating what I said on the reel. Treat your workouts like meetings or appointments. You can't bug out on the IRS. Reinforces the habit too, by the way. When you come through and you actually follow up, when you don't feel like it, that's habit reinforcement in a positive and constructive way. The other thing is internal accountability. Share your goals with your friends, join a class or group. Having someone waiting for you or checking in increases the likelihood that you'll push through. This is helpful to have a good network of people who have similar goals than you. This is why I like runners groups or group exercise, small group personal training. Definitely private coaching is always a great go-to. But by adjusting your approach, reworking your mindset, the too tired excuse can be transformed into action. All right. So there's two of them. We've done two already. So let's go to the third one. Let's see what's another one on this list. I can't afford to get fit. Okay, this is all right. All right, I'm going to do this one. I can't afford to get fit. This one can come in a variety of different ways. I think that this can be delineated into two camps. The first one is that people say they can't afford to get fit because they have some kind of expectation that they need to pay in order to be fit. That may be true for some people. Hiring a professional is always a great idea. And then some people may say, oh, I can't afford the equipment. I can't afford the gym membership. I can't afford apparatus. I'm going to go on and crush both of those for you. Okay. If you were to take all of your media subscriptions, all of them, Netflix, Hulu, your Disney Plus, whatever the fuck you got, your candied coffee each morning, you reduce your unnecessary snacks, you stop your useless impulse purchases, maybe live within your means for once, prioritize your health, then you could afford a world-class online coach or personal trainer. I'll say that again. If you prioritize and budget accordingly, most Americans can afford an online coach and maybe even an in-person personal trainer. They're more expensive that way, and there's a reason for that, but you most certainly can find an outlet that's reasonably accommodating financially if you choose to. It's always about priorities in America, not money. For those of you who really can't afford it, let me give you some real solutions. Free workouts are everywhere. You can leverage free resources all over YouTube. There are free fitness apps that have, or at least apps that have free versions, light versions. There's body weight exercises that require no equipment. There are entire channels and multiple media platforms that are led by certified personal trainers that have full workout plans. And if you are in the beginning stages, just doing something is worthwhile. Something is better than nothing. Also, you can utilize outdoor spaces. You can do all kinds of great activities. There's jogging, there's biking, there's walking, there's hiking, there's kayaking, there's paddleboarding. Most parks are free, or at least they have workout stations and paths that are delineated specifically for these activities. There's almost no reason. Oh, but I live in an urban environment. Well, that's where they mostly are. In a rural environment, I got none of that stuff. Well, I got acreage, but what am I going to do out there? Like dodge copperheads and rattlesnakes and scorpions? In these big cities, there's so many options. You probably have a beautiful park right down the street from you if you're living in a metropolitan area. Also, equipment is quite affordable. Resistance bands, jump ropes, and kettlebells, and well, dumbbells are hell of expensive right now, but you can find versions of dumbbells that are less expensive. These things are versatile. And you can build an entire fitness protocol around a couple of these items. In fact, shit, man, my grandma used soup cans. All kinds of household items. My little cousin used to use cinder blocks. You have water bottles, there's books, bags filled with sand. Fuck, I don't know. Improvise with what you have at home. If it's important, you can find it. It's everywhere. The other thing I was mentioning is like, we were talking a little bit about groups, but local communities. The town that we used to live in prior to moving to Texas when we were living in California, there were all kinds of community offerings that were mostly free or donation based. We had yoga classes, dance classes, fitness classes in the parks, community centers. They had yoga in the park in Roseville, California. In fact, Anchorage, Alaska has the same thing. Hundreds of people would show up to these parks and partake in these free fitness opportunities. So look at these local events. There's also workout challenges everywhere. Oh my gosh, just scroll through Instagram or TikTok. Tons and tons and tons and tons of free workout challenges. You can participate in these free online challenges and accountability groups. They provide structure, the workouts, they provide support. All of these things are extraordinarily accessible. And then last but not least, just walk. I mean, seriously, just walk. All right. What's next? I can't believe how long this is taking. Here's a good one. Let's do this one. That I'm too old or I'm too out of shape. I'm gonna combine this mostly into age and decondition, because I see that there's some sub categories of this. Like, for example, people don't feel like they're able to work out because they don't look good enough yet, or they're not in shape enough to work out. I think I'm going to separate those out. So let's just talk about decondition and age. Shift your perspective on aging. Research shows that people of all ages can make fitness improvement. Older adults can improve their strength, their flexibility, their mobility, their cardiovascular health quite significantly. You just have to reframe exercise as a way to age actively, keeping your body mobile and vibrant. It also really helps with your brain. Start small. Be kind to yourself. Begin with low impact exercises, walking, light stretching, chair protocols. You can do all kinds of resistance training on a chair or against a wall. Wall Pilates is even popular. And then celebrate your small victories and listen to your body. Especially if you're aging and you don't know what you're doing, just be sure that you're setting realistic and enjoyable goals. Focus on goals like feeling more energetic, or moving with less pain, or being able to play with your grandkids. Maybe your grandson was a little heavy last week, and then you did a little resistance training, and then he maybe got little lighter the week after, and then the week after, and the week after, you continue doing the resistance training, you continue lifting your grandson, and before you know it, in 30 days, you don't even register that he's heavy because he's no longer heavy, because your body has adapted to his weight, and now you are able to engage and be the grandparent that you've always wanted to be for your grandchild. So totally reasonable. Make fitness fun. Most of your kids are going to want to be involved with you anyway. We have tons of clients whose kids now mimic them as they're doing their exercise. You're never too old. Find something you genuinely enjoy. It can even be dancing, gardening, swimming, low impact stuff, not a problem. You can even leverage role models. Look to older athletes or success stories that prove it's possible. We have some here at Forge. You can also look at some of these lovely ladies who are doing powerlifting in their 70s, or bodybuilders in their 60s, 70s, and 80s who are all natural, both men and women. Fantastic. You can read about them. You can see what people have transformed themselves, even after living a sedentary life, in their 50s and 60s, get in the best shape they've ever been, ever. It can inspire a fresh outlook. The other thing that I would recommend for people who feel like that they're too old or they're too injured is to focus on the functionality of your fitness. Think of exercise not just as a way to get in shape, but as a means of independence. It is your freedom. You prevent your injuries and you can stay active in your daily life for as long as possible. Focusing on the functionality can make exercise more relatable, and then it also is translatable. Let's just say, I have a client who's going to Greece next week. And there's a lot of stairs in Greece if you haven't been there. And she is so excited because when they went back 3 years ago, she huffed and puffed and was miserable walking all over Greece. This year, she is going to go, and we already know she's going to be successful because she's in far superior shape than she was before then. Also, I just wanted to mention that when you're in the aging population or you're injured, sometimes joint classes or groups tailored to beginners or older adults can be very, very helpful. It creates a sense of camaraderie and support. A personal trainer with experience working with older adults or beginners can design a safe, effective program and help you gain confidence and help you prevent injuries. You're never too old. It's never too late to start. All right. So next one, so number 5, we're halfway there. What are we going to do? Let's do, that's a good one. All right. Exercise is boring. Okay. Is it though? Or is it your attitude? Most people don't have a fitness or nutrition problem. They have an attitude problem. But okay, I understand sometimes things can get stale. I'll give you that. Switch up your routine by exploring different modalities, different forms of exercise. I've said it already, like dance classes, but you can do rock climbing and kickboxing and cycling. You can try different pieces of equipment. You can try different angles, different techniques in form, and finding activities that you enjoy will make it feel less like a chore. But you have to remember, there are some fundamentals in human movement science that you just can't ignore because you dislike them. The joke is don't skip leg day for guys. And for women, it's not all about cardio. You need to do strength training as well, which I'm very pleased to see is a nice cultural shift that I've been enjoying over the last 10 years is watching women lifting more weights like they should be. Okay, so boring. We're going back to, we'd already talked about making a playlist, right, for music or podcasts or audiobooks. Just make them energizing or something that's engaging. It helps the time fly by. I'm not trying to be redundant, but a lot of these things just carry over. Another thing is, of course, workout buddies, your gym bro or your gym gal or whatever it is, whoever you're working with that is not in a professional setting, just somebody who you can, I guess you can relate to and have a good time working out with, or somebody that you know that you're going to see at the gym. These things can be all really helpful. Group fitness classes are great for this. They get a little culty, so you have to be careful with those kinds of things, but they also can be extraordinarily supportive if you keep your head about it. Camaraderie really can make these events fun. Gamifying workouts is a big thing. We use badges within the Forge app for certain milestones for clients. I don't need any of that shit, but some people really, really do like it. My dear friend, Serena, she'll probably be on the podcast here at some point. She gamifies her workouts. She has this board that she planks on, and she holds onto it, and it's got a screen, and she plays games like Frogger, or you have to dodge things that are coming towards you. The Space Invader from like the 80s. I'm sorry, I'm really old, but that's the first thing I could think of was Space Invaders. And you have to and she does that on this core board. Those are really cool. They can track your progress. They can offer you challenges. They can give you rewards. I know that a lot of people like the Zombie Run app. Virtual races can be done. And there's sometimes like these fun little twists that can be put in there. All of these things have high value. As long as you're setting clear, measurable goals, you got to be working towards something specific. I think that easy things like doing X amount of push-ups or X amount of pull-ups are great because those are extrinsic-based goals. We'll use the 5K as our example. It's an intrinsic-based goal because the process of getting to the point where your 5K becomes a reasonable or respectable time, the process of doing that is just as enjoyable as hitting that goal. There's reward that happens during the process. And that can add purpose and excitement to each of your sessions. So like each week as you see yourself progressing in your speed. Again, kind of bringing this particular one home, explore the outdoors, go hiking, biking, walk, change your scenery, enjoy nature. It can be more stimulating. You can even do your short hit workouts outside, weather permitting. You can do them inside. So they can be very effective. And it's not an all or nothing. This variety can keep things interesting. Variety should never, ever supersede structured, periodized workouts that have progressions. Otherwise, you're just going to get stuck in a plateau. Speaking of, that's actually a good one. Let's segue. What was another one I saw here? This is perfect. Right off the back of that. I'm not seeing results, or I don't see results when I work out. This has become such a huge issue for people. And I hate to bring it back around, but this is because people are quitters. They just don't give it enough time. They expect instantaneous return on minimal effort. It's just what it is. So let me give you the roadmap to make this actually work. Set clear, realistic goals and make sure your goals are, oh God, I don't like using the SMART principle, but let's do it because it's easy for everybody. Everybody's heard the SMART principle: specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound, SMART. So instead of saying that I want to lose weight, say instead, I will lose 2 pounds a month. This keeps the expectations clear and realistic. It is totally reasonable to lose 2 pounds in a month. And people say, but I saw this thing on social media, that said that I could lose 30 pounds in a month. Stop. You're not going to do it. And if you try, you're going to be miserable and you're going to do what you normally do. You're going to quit. So why don't we do something realistic? Let's lose 2 pounds in a month instead of gaining 2 pounds in a month. How about that, right? Let's start with something fucking simple that you actually do. Keep your expectations clear and realistic. To make this work, you have to track your progress, because progress is not always obvious in a mirror or on the scale. On the scale, it could be completely skewed because you just made up that number. You just said one day, I want to weigh this much, and then you tie all your emotions into it, which is obnoxious. Don't do that, because muscle weighs more than fat, so by a value of 5. So 5 pounds of muscle looks like a fist, and 5 pounds of fat looks like a football. So we're talking about a value space here. We're talking about volume. So if you are 150 pounds and as a woman, but you're also, I'm going to make this ridiculous, you're 12% body fat, you have one hell of a physique. But if you're a woman who weighs 150 pounds, but you're 30% body fat, then your physique is definitely something different than the person that I just mentioned. Same weight, very different aesthetic outcomes. So the scale is not your friend. You might as well just throw it away. And the mirror sometimes isn't either if you can't be objective. Almost everybody has some kind of body dysmorphia. It's a normal thing, but you just don't want to get stuck in it. Anyway, use multiple methods to track your progress. Take progress photos, keep a workout journal, track your body measurements. I specifically like circumference measurements if you don't have access to DEXA or bioimpedance scanning like an InBody. Note your strength gains. So you want to monitor that. You want to see how much you're lifting over a period of time. You want to see your endurance improvements, speed improvements, agility improvements. Progress is about not always lifting heavier or running longer distances. Sometimes it's just about setting a milestone and achieving it, even if it's only a 1 to 5% gain, because everything is gain and an accumulation. Remember, we talked about at the beginning, everything is accumulation, and consistency beats intensity every time. So mix up your protocols. If you're not seeing results, right? The general adaptation syndrome, meaning your body's going to adapt to whatever stressors you put on it. And if you stop seeing results when you were seeing results, it just means that you need to introduce a variety in a specific way. So don't train as a marathon runner if you want to be a sprinter. So you have to be careful about the exercise acute variables, your mood, your energy levels, your sensation of stress, and your overall health quotient, whether it be anecdotal or it be quantified through some kind of lab work. All of these things are just as equally important as your aesthetics, and they can be very powerful influencers when physical changes are slow. They can really bridge the gap between plateaus, and that can be very helpful. Of course, I'm going to come back to professional guidance. Working with a trainer and a coach can help you identify areas for improvement and then strategize and create a program and all the techniques required to elicit the outcome that you're looking for. A professional can be a huge asset, whether you need a corrective exercise, whether it's strength training, whether you're a runner, whether it's a short or long distance. You want to make sure that you're also challenging yourself enough. And sometimes a coach will be able to help you understand those limits. But again, you have to be patient. You have to be consistent. Results take time. Muscle growth, fat loss, endurance improvements, they don't happen overnight. You have to trust the process and you have to stay consistent. Even a minor setback or a plateau is normal. I have to always reevaluate, always, my protocols. My body's highly adaptive. I'm relatively close to my genetic potential, not as close as I've been in the past, but I'm close. That means it's harder for me to see results. If I were obese and I wanted to lose, say, 20 pounds, that would happen for me relatively quickly. But right now, if I wanted to lose 2 pounds of body fat, that would take me a long time. It'd be very difficult for me to do. So you have to reevaluate and be objective about where you are in your fitness journey and not be, I guess you could say, feeling depressed because you're not seeing the same results as somebody who's deconditioned sees. I always tell my clients that when it's hard for you to see results, it just means that you're in really good shape in general. All right. Of course, nutrition plays a role in all this. I know I'm talking mostly about mindset and fitness related things, but your nutrition, you can't outwork that. Eating too much or too little or not getting the right balance of nutrients will hinder your progress. Sometimes a very simple adjustment in your nutritional intake can make a significant difference. So be careful not to get into dogma when it comes to nutrition. Make sure that you're eating towards your needs. Let's capstone this particular excuse. If your results are the only focus, it's easy to get discouraged. If you're just results, man, you're going to get pissed off. You have to learn to enjoy the journey of becoming healthier and stronger. And when the mindset is about improving each day and having fun with the process, motivation becomes only a catalyst. And then your discipline becomes that intrinsic driver. Motivation is an emotion. It's temporary. Harness it, take the energy, put it into your discipline, and make that discipline lead to your consistency. So, okay, we're going to the 7th. This is a good one. I don't know where to start. I don't know what to do. What do? I want to get in shape. I want to run faster. I want to do whatever your goal is. That is such an easy problem to solve. You know what I'm going to say? Hire a certified personal trainer online or locally. Okay, pretend you don't do that. Start with small and simple things. Begin with short, easy to follow workouts. It's the theme, 10, 15 minutes, high intensity interval. Do it. Body weight exercise, push-ups, squats, stretching. Establish consistency. There's a lot of beginner programs online. Tons of stuff on YouTube, TikTok. Choose a structured beginner workout program. I know that there's Fitness Blender is great. A lovely couple. They're on YouTube. The Nike Training Club, YouTube channels like Couch to 5K. They offer step-by-step guidance for beginners. A lot of these YouTube channels and these creators, what they've done is they've even assigned intensity levels where level 1 is for a beginner, and then a level 5 is for an extreme exerciser, and then everything in between. It's really simple to navigate, and it allows you to just kind of step back away from the development of the exercise protocol so that you can set clear and specific goals. So you can identify a small, achievable goal that you can work towards. It gives you direction, and it can reinforce your desire. The other thing is, of course, in the process of all this research is educating yourself. This is where it gets really dodgy, though, because there's so much nonsense on social media that is so difficult to navigate. But spending time and understanding the very basics of exercise and their benefits is extraordinarily helpful. Do that in a more in a clinical setting. I wouldn't recommend just going to Reddit to learn how to exercise. That is a terrible idea. That is the birthplace of bad ideas. But knowing what each exercise does and how it works and how your body interacts with it can build your confidence. There's so many free resources online explaining the fundamentals of fitness. And then, as I mentioned all the time, habit stack. Habit stack. That is something that is so easy to do. And if you don't know what to do, I can guarantee you this, you know for sure of one habit that you have that you want to get rid of, and focus on that one thing, We can talk about that more in another either lesson or a podcast, but definitely habit stacking is extraordinarily useful. All right, so moving on. We got 3 more to do. Trying to keep this under an hour. Here's a good one. This one's always weird to me. I'm too self-conscious. That doesn't make sense to me when it comes to home workouts, but it does make sense to me when it comes to gym intimidation. So feeling self-conscious is super common. Even I feel that way. But here are some strategies that can help you build up your confidence. Start small, start private. Begin with your home workouts or in a private space where you are comfortable. Online, whether it be with a professional, whether it be a class, workout apps that can guide you while you don't need to face what you think is a crowd that's just focused on you. Frankly, folks, they're not. Nobody in a gym is really looking at you. It's extremely rare. Most people are very, very focused on one of 3 things in a gym, modern gym. First is, are they going to be able to get their workout in because it's so damn crowded, or do they have all the right access? That's what people are thinking about themselves. They're thinking about their workouts. It's number 1. The second thing that they're thinking about is, do they look silly? The same thing you're thinking about. They're not thinking about you. They're thinking about them. The other thing that they're thinking about, this is new, is are they going to trip over the tripod of some social media influencer? And remember that we're focusing on progress, not perfection. Set small, achievable goals, track your progress over time, and celebrate your milestones. The consistency, celebrate it, because you're going to see an increase in stamina and your strength and your appearance. And you're going to start finding that you're going to be inspired by your own progress, even if it's slow. Also, another thing that you can do, choose clothing that's comfortable. You don't have to wear spandex. Wear workout clothes that make you feel confident. They should be comfortable, and they should fit well, and they should allow you to move. You should go with friends. Having a workout buddy that you feel comfortable and confident with is great. Put them in the mix. Even if it's not at home, gyms sometimes have some more private spaces, little break-off rooms. I know that a lot of the major gyms have these functional fitness areas that when they're not being used for class, you can go and use those, and they're much quieter. There's also times you can ask the management or the front desk staff. Most gyms know their peak hours, and you can find out where and when you can choose those quieter times and areas to work out. But there's also a mindset shift. You have to remember that these people are focused on themselves. Like I said, try affirmations or breathing exercise and redirect your thoughts before and during your workouts. Just be more involved in yourself, because that's what everyone else is doing. Nobody's looking at you. All right, let's do 9 and 10. Let's get through this. We can do it. We can do it in an hour, right? I have an injury or a health issue. Okay, this is a good one. Coach Tate and I just did a full hour podcast on this topic about injury prevention, management, and mindset through recovery. I'm going to tell you this, in my decades as a career fitness professional, I have worked with all kinds of injuries, conditions, and special populations. In that time, I have rarely seen any situation that would cause you to exclude exercise. I mean, it has happened on occasion where a physician has determined that a person should avoid any excessive stress or exercise, but it's so rare I can count the times that this has happened on one hand. And all of them are medically justifiable, limited, not permanent. It is a finite period of time in which somebody has been recommended or ordered not to exercise. So I worked with people suffering from Alzheimer's, multiple sclerosis, Parkinson's, broken bones, torn ligaments, detached tendons, amputations, crush injuries, gunshot wounds, impalement, blindness, cancer, diabetes, heart disease, stroke, alcoholism, gout, arthritis, Crohn's, celiac, you name the disease, I've probably dealt with it. Not to mention, I have worked with people who are severely obese, exceeding 400 pounds. And I can nearly guarantee your health situation or your injury is not a reason to skip exercise or manage your diet. It's just another excuse. I'm chronically in pain. I have so many injuries, but I still exercise because I know how to get around it. Okay, now having said that, it is critical to first consult a healthcare professional or a physical therapist to understand your limitations and the exercises that are safe for you. That is the standard disclaimer. Essentially, safety is always first, so please consult your physician, as I'm making a general statement, not a suggestion that you neglect having a conversation being cleared by a medical professional. If you have an injury, you have to have a custom plan. You have to work with somebody to build a modified exercise protocol that suits your specific condition and your injury while still allowing you to get closer to your goal. Remember that it's not always about progress. Sometimes it's about maintenance. Sometimes you just need to hold the line, right? So assuming that you are cleared to exercise, here's what you can do. One, first tip, shift your mindset. I'm going to say it every time. Hire a professional, shift your mindset. Instead of dwelling on what's restricted, focus on the exercises or the movements that you can do. What is still possible? For instance, if you have a knee injury, there might still be some upper body exercises that you can do. Reframe movement as healing. I'm going to say that again. Reframe movement and exercise as a form of healing. It's not rehabilitation, it's strength training. You're doing something to heal and strengthen your body. So get your head wrapped around that and adapt your workouts for safety, low impact exercises, like swimming, cycling, the chair workouts I just mentioned, or wall Pilates, resistance bands. All of these things are great. You can even do floor work, flexibility and mobility, and focus. Focus. Work on stretches that recover and prevent future injuries around the affected site. Some other things that you can do, small steps. Begin with short sessions like we've already talked about and build the intensity over time. Celebrate your small wins, acknowledge your progress, and emphasize your mental well-being, your mind-body practices. It's not like about yoga or Tai Chi. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about your mental resilience. How do you engage your body and how do you become resilient to the condition of being a human? You're not special. Everybody gets hurt and everybody has problems. You have to be mentally resilient, and the people who are successful are the ones who are, and the people who are unsuccessful are the ones who are not. The last one, oh, this is a good one. I like this one. Here you go. I'll start tomorrow, next week, next month, next Monday, whatever. Okay. This is one we hear all the time. In fact, we hear this when somebody does a free program inquiry with Forge, which we offer. People will say, oh, great. Thanks for all the information. I'm going to think about it and then I'm going to go ahead and start next week. We have a relatively high level of conversion. It's uncommonly high for the industry. So if we talk to 10 people, 7 or 8 of them are going to likely sign up with one of our coaches. What is interesting though, these people who say, I'll start next week, or I'll start next Monday or whatever it is, they don't. They usually don't. So, all right, well, how do you overcome this excuse? Because this is easy to do. Everybody does this. In fact, I find myself accidentally doing this on occasion. I do it with my fitness. I don't do this with nutrition personally. Nutrition for me is very easy to manage. Weirdly, I know. I can explain that more in another episode, because people are always surprised to find out I have no nutritional problems of any severe consequence. For me, it's mostly about my fitness, and it's easy for me to put off changes because it's always going to cause me to hurt. Something that I had been working around will suddenly become aggravated if I pair muscle groups in a specific sequence. For example, biceps to triceps. Direct reciprocity, you'd think it would be okay, but it flares up my lateral medial epicondylitis from a break that I had in that arm. I broke this wrist in 3 separate places, this arm in 1. So these things flare up over time. But here's the thing. Commit to just the 5 minutes. Do it now. Do it today, and don't wait. Because if committing to long workouts feel daunting, you're just going to get that mental fatigue. And I promise you, just do 5 minutes of exercise today. You don't wait till Monday. Don't wait till next week. Start now. This makes starting easier over and over again. And you're going to often end up doing more than you had originally intended. And make it a non-negotiable action in your life. Choose a specific time each day to work out and stick to it. Treat it like an appointment that you can't miss. And visualize the end result. That's very helpful. Now, that's a little bit of an extrinsic value, not so much intrinsic. But right now, we're going for low-hanging fruit. It's okay for you to have a goal to lose a certain amount of body fat or weight, whatever you want to call it. But starting is more important than anything. And if you don't start, then you're not going to see any results. There's some things that you can do as well outside of this. Some of these things, let's blend intrinsic and extrinsic goals. And for those of you who don't know, an extrinsic goal is the end result. I want to lose X amount of weight, and then that goal becomes extrinsically motivated. And then when you hit it, that's when you're successful. An intrinsic goal is when you say, I want to lose 50 pounds, but I'm going to celebrate 5 pounds, and I want to do that in X amount of time. So while the extrinsic goal is still present, the process, the journey to get to that end goal is equally celebrated. So 5 pounds is just as important as 50 because now it's only 45. You understand? So journaling can be helpful. You can use it to maintain your inspiration, to remind yourself why you're committed. Why did you start this to begin with? Why did you do it today? Why did you not do it tomorrow? This also brings you back to, you have to plan ahead. You need to schedule your workouts. You got to put them in a calendar. We do that in the Forge app. But with our clients, we schedule all their workouts. Like on Monday, this is what you do. And we adapt it for each individual client. Not all clients have the exact same schedule. Some people work out 2 days a week. Some people work out 7. It just depends on that client. But do that for yourself. Lay it out so that your workouts are ready to go and you know what day you're going to be doing. You know what to expect. You know what's going to happen before it happens, and you have no excuse. And you can eliminate any of these excuses for delaying. You can also use the 2-day rule. It works for some people. I don't know. I don't need these kinds of things, but a 2-day rule, simple. You promise yourself not to skip 2 days in a row. And if you miss one day, okay, that's fine. You just have to make sure that you get back on track on that next day. Well, I just call this justified procrastination. So while I have seen people successfully utilize this technique, just be careful that 2 doesn't turn to 3, because 3 will turn to 5, and then 5 turns into you don't work out. Again, we're setting small achievable goals instead of focusing on distant or large goals. We want to aim for the short-term goals, the intrinsic goals. This will help significantly. Of course, you can still find accountability in partners. That's always nice. It could either be your coach, who's a professional person that you hire. It could be a spouse. It could be friend, family member, lover. I don't care. Fuck, man, you can find all kinds of people who'd be willing to help you. In fact, I have found this interesting thing going online where there's these support groups through Reddit and Discord and these chat forums, and they don't all have the flavor of toxicity, which unfortunately most of them do, but I have seen some that are very, very good, and I encourage you to check those out. So there it is. In the beginning, I gave you not just 10, but 11 reasons as to why you should be exercising. I then went and I provided you practical solutions to overcome your own self-destruction by working through your excuses. You have to maximize your well-being, and then your quality of life will follow. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and even support this channel. You can become a sponsor. If you know anyone that would benefit from this content, please share it. Help us spread the good news. And the good news is that anybody can improve their life and exercise. You can manage your nutrition, and you can develop edifying habits that enhance your life. Until next time, I'm Michael S. Parker. Go forth and remake yourself. No excuses.